Blizzard showcased an odd dichotomy in their marketing before BlizzCon, and I want to talk about it. So let's chat in the comments, but first, my opinion. I'm Tarmack, and this is Feature Creep. Before I go on a tear here, I want to say that sometimes we criticize the things we love more than others, and that's very true of Blizzard for me. I feel that despite their creation of amazing products, they need some criticism from time to time, and that time is now. So BlizzCon has come and gone for another year with nary a major announcement to be seen or heard. Well, I suppose that's not entirely fair. I'll definitely be striving to learn more about the Overwatch League and possibly do a future video on it because that was probably the biggest announcement of the show this year. Outside of the league though, the rest of what was announced was pretty normal fare for an off year at BlizzCon. Patch content, new characters, minor release details, and cards. Before BlizzCon though, the internet hype machine was spun up by an ARG. For those who are unaware, an ARG is an alternate reality game. Blizzard drip-fed information leading up to the reveal of a new character for Overwatch by the name of Sombra. It began with a video for the release of the previous character Ana, which had 2 single frames of hex code that when put together allowed people to figure out the name Sombra and a line of text, quote, "She who has the information has the power," end quote. From there, into a number of other videos with various barcodes, ciphers, and such, it extended into all manner of crazy off-the-wall puzzles. None of this makes any sense to me, but people who are far more technical and clever than I am continued to figure it out. All of this eventually culminated in a couple of websites, one with a timer and another one with just a server overloaded message immediately prior to BlizzCon. And then of course, at BlizzCon, the character was fully revealed. After it was all over, Blizzard did admit that they didn't pace the ARG very well. There were a very large number of people involved, who, by the way, are probably some of the most enthusiastic fans you can have, who were pretty upset with how one item would be figured out, but then the next item was time-gated, effectively meaning that actually figuring them out at all had less impact on the whole situation. So it's certainly commendable that Blizzard would come right out and say that the ARG wasn't their best work. However, what has received absolutely no comment thus far is the situation surrounding Diablo. Now, just to make sure everyone's with me on this, part of the mystique of an ARG is that fans have to figure it out. It's all about the slightly hidden in plain sight bits of information. And so while proceeding with the Sombra ARG, Blizzard is actively encouraging their fans to, rather desperately in many cases, figure out what is going to be revealed and when in order to progress with the ARG. Problems with the pacing aside, this encouragement is at odds with the Diablo side of the house. When you're running an ARG for one game, it's easy if not expected that your other games will come under the same scrutiny by players. So when a 4-sided dice shows up on a YouTube channel with a misprint easily, if incorrectly read as November 4th, the first day of BlizzCon, it's not hard to see why people get excited. And when you label your map as Diablo, when every prior year has read Diablo 3, those same people start to look for more information. I made a comment in a video before BlizzCon about how things like the map text are intentional marketing decisions, and maybe I made an error in giving Blizzard more credit than I should have. At the convention, you could line up in 2 different Diablo lines to play on the demo machines. Line 1 was a standard dungeon run using the new Necromancer class, as immensely unfinished as the class is right now, and Line 2 was to play not the retro modding of Diablo 1 inside the Diablo 3 engine, but rather the original Diablo in all its pixelated old gameplay glory. That second line to play Diablo 1 only had a handful of computers available, like 2 or 3 or something like that. So if you have a set of probably 60 computers or 80 computers, almost all of which are running Diablo 3, of which only 2, 3, 4 are running the original Diablo 1, then you have to know that relabeling it something other than Diablo 3 is going to hype people up into a false sense of what's to come. Incidentally, and I'm pondering another video on this one later, I spoke with one of the developers while standing in line and I asked him how big the Diablo 3 team was. His response stunned me. He said that most of the teams are about the same size and none of the teams at Blizzard are particularly large. Not only evading my question, but also making me wonder how big a team would need to be considered large. Jeff Kaplan has said that Team 4 is about 100 people right now and had 75 people at launch, Team 4 being Overwatch. It's going to take them until sometime next year to have a new paid class patched into the game. So the team working on Diablo can't be all that big. The dice situation is also equally mind-boggling. The 4-sided dice was a misprint, as evidenced by everyone at the convention getting properly labeled dice in their little goodie boxes. And Blizzard, of course, cannot claim they didn't know about the misprint. They do employ community managers after all. So why would you not communicate that it was a mistake? Especially while running an active ARG for another one of your games where the whole point is for players to figure it out. It smacks of dishonesty a little bit because all that it did was spin up a false sense of hype. In the end, the Sombra ARG appears to have resulted in essentially the same or less content at the end of the day than the Diablo situation. Overwatch gets a new character, though granted much sooner. Diablo gets a month-long Diablo 1 retro event and some new character class sometime next year. And while they even admitted that the Sombra ARG was perhaps paced poorly, and they can do better next time, why didn't the Diablo reveal warrant at least a similar level of care, if not clearly attention? This is the odd dichotomy of BlizzCon and has thrown me for a bit of a loop on just how consolidated the overall vision of Blizzard and how it actually operates is. To have two very similar reveals, one of which revolved around carefully managed leaks and information drips, and the other with what appears to be little more than mistakes and accidents. And not just that, but to have them happen simultaneously, where customers are directly encouraged to participate through the structure of the ARG for Overwatch, but are also completely ignored as a standard business-to-consumer information push for Diablo. The Sombra ARG, through proper planning, got gamers excited for a new character, but it didn't overextend that hype. The thing about hype is that it's only a good long-term strategy if the hype message mirrors some degree of reality. The converse is what happened with Diablo, where the mistakes and mismanagement of that message and communication resulted in what would have been at the very least a decent feature reveal, disappointing a huge number of people who were looking for more. However, all of that said, it is somewhat telling that the Overwatch line tapered off towards the end of the convention. The Diablo line, on the other hand, had convention staff telling attendees that they had to cap the line because there were too many people clogging up that section of the hall right up to the end and even during the Weird Al concert. So Diablo definitely has an enthusiastic audience that Blizzard isn't doing a particularly good job of producing content for. But that's more discussion for a future topic on the state of the Diablo franchise and how things have turned out the way that they have to this point. The long and short of all of this is that Blizzard has shown very well how important communication is, through both good communication and terrible communication. The mistakes and intentional choices surrounding the reveal of the Diablo 1 event and Diablo 3 Necromancer class at BlizzCon did an excellent job of drumming up hype and then disappointing a bunch of people. It's easy to say that the community hyped themselves up without Blizzard's help, but remember, the whole time this was going on, there was a massive campaign going on for Overwatch, encouraging Blizzard fans to hunt for hidden information, speculate, and try to figure out what was going on. I don't think that it's fair to say that the community did this to themselves. And instead of giving, at this point, any level of communication on the Diablo front, they sat back and just sort of let it all happen. At the very least, the DICE misprint should have been commented on. It ended up being a pretty disappointing result, given that some very logical speculation came out of the decisions Blizzard made and what little bits of information did come out. The whole situation showcases how important communication is, because no matter what you actually plan to announce and how good it might be, if people were expecting more because of something that you did, when you announce less, they're going to be upset. Are you the kind of gamer who likes pursuing alternate reality games and enjoys well-founded speculation? Clearly some mistakes were made here, so let's chat about it. For those who enjoy this content and share it around to places like Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, and such, you have my eternal gratitude. Feature Creep is a regular show on the channel, and I would love it if you stuck around. There are links in the description to both my Patreon so you can patronize me and my Discord server so you can Discord me. Who the hell wrote this? You're fired, 2016. Thanks for watching. That's all I have to say. Tarmack out.